You know the movie. You know the lifestyle. The yachts, the quaaludes, the Leonardo DiCaprio charm. But Hollywood is great at making criminals look like rock stars, right? Here's the brutal reality. Jordan Belfort didn't just outsmart Wall Street. He lied about worthless $1 stocks. He pumped them up with fake promises, and he stole millions from plumbers, teachers, and retirees. He served just 22 months in a tennis camp prison and came out richer than when he went in. And the wildest part? People still cheer for him. Welcome to the Fiscal Axiom. Today, we are breaking down how a failed meat salesman built the biggest boiler room in history and how the scam actually worked. Explained so simply, a 5-year-old could understand it. Let's go back to Bayside, Queens, 1962. While other kids were playing stickball, Jordan was playing economics. At 16, he was hawking Italian ices on the beach. He wasn't just selling sugar water, he was running a monopoly. By the end of one summer, he made $20,000. In the late 70s, that is buy a house money for a teenager. So naturally, he took that hustle to dental school, because that's where the money is, right? Wrong. Day one, the dean walks in and says, "The golden age of dentistry is over. If you're here simply to make a lot of money, you're in the wrong place." Jordan stood up, packed his bag, and walked out. Next stop? Meat. After college, Jordan started a door-to-door meat and seafood business, and honestly, he crushed it. He was moving 5,000 pounds of beef and lobster a week. But Jordan had a fatal flaw. He could sell, but he couldn't manage. He scaled too fast on credit. At 25 years old, he filed for bankruptcy. He was broke. But he learned one terrifying truth about himself. It didn't matter if it was frozen lobster or financial derivatives. He could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Enter Wall Street. Jordan lands a job at L.F. Rothschild, the big leagues. $2,000 suits, blue-chip stocks like IBM and AT&T. But here's the problem with legit Wall Street. The commissions are tiny. You sell a stable stock to a smart investor, you make a 1% commission. It's a grind. Then, the universe punched him in the face again. October 19th, 1987, Black Monday. The market crashes. Jordan loses his job. He's back to zero. Desperate, he finds a job at a tiny brokerage in a strip mall in Long Island. The place looks like a dump. But then, he sees the commission sheet. This is the moment the wolf was born. He discovered penny stocks. These are shares of tiny, garbage companies that trade for pennies. They aren't regulated like IBM. And because they are so risky and hard to sell, the commission wasn't 1%, it was 50%. Let me repeat that, 50%. If Jordan sold $10,000 of stock, he kept $5,000 instantly. The product was trash, but the payout was gold. The only problem, you had to sell garbage to people who didn't want it. And Jordan, he was the Michelangelo of selling garbage. He picked up the phone and called a random guy in Nebraska. But he didn't say, "Hey, buy this risky penny stock." No, he used a strategy called the Kodak Pitch. First, he sold them a legit stock, a blue chip, something recognizable like Kodak or Disney. He made almost zero money on this trade, but he gained something more valuable: trust. Once the client saw the profit on the legit stock, Jordan called back for the kill. "Mr. Investor, remember how we did on Kodak? Well, I have something special. It's a company pending a patent on a radar technology, trading at 10 cents. It's undiscovered." The company was usually real on paper, but worthless in reality. But the investor didn't know that. They bought $5,000 worth. Jordan pocketed $2,500 instantly. The investor was now holding a bag of nothing.
He was making $70,000 a month in the 80s. But working for someone else wasn't enough. 1989, Jordan teams up with Danny Porish, and they open their own shop, Stratton Oakmont. The name sounds prestigious, like a British country club. In reality, it was a boiler room filled with uneducated, hungry kids. Jordan realized he couldn't clone himself, so he created a system, straight-line persuasion. He taught these kids, many of whom were high school dropouts, to control every second of the conversation. Every no was just a detour back to the line. Don't let the client think. Don't let them breathe. Just get the check. The office became a cult. Money became the only god. But selling penny stocks one by one was too slow. Jordan wanted to steal millions, not thousands. So, he invented the ultimate weapon, the IPO Pump and Dump. Here is the genius and the crime of Stratton Oakmont. Step 1. Jordan buys up almost all the shares of a shoe company, let's say Steve Madden, secretly through shell companies and friends. He owns the supply. Step 2. The pump. His army of 1,000 brokers calls everyone they know. Buy Steve Madden, it's the next Nike, it's going to the moon. Because Jordan controls the supply and his brokers are creating artificial demand, the stock price shoots up from $4 to $20. Step 3, the dump. Once the stock hits the peak, Jordan sells all his secret shares instantly. He makes millions in minutes. But when he sells, the price crashes. The supply floods the market. The stock goes back to zero. Jordan walks away with the cash. The investors are left with worthless paper. By the early 90s, Jordan Belfort was earning $50 million a year. But making $50 million is great. Spending it is a full-time job. By the mid-90s, the wolf wasn't just hunting. He was being hunted. Not just by the law, but by his own addiction.
You remember the scene where he drives the Lamborghini home while paralyzed on Quaaludes? In the movie, it's hilarious. In real life, he crashed into 7 cars and could have killed someone. But the real threat wasn't the drugs. It was a guy named Gregory Coleman, a boring, patient FBI agent who noticed that Stratton Oakmont was making money that simply didn't exist in the math. Jordan had a problem. Too much cash. Literal mountains of it. So he got creative. He decided to smuggle the money to Switzerland. He used mules. He strapped cash to the bodies of friends, family members, and even his wife's elderly British aunt. He flew them to Geneva to deposit the cash into secret numbered accounts. Jordan felt invincible, so invincible that he decided to fight nature. In 1996, while high on a cocktail of drugs, he ordered his captain to sail his massive yacht into a storm. The yacht sank. It was a sign from the universe. Stop. Jordan didn't stop. The end came from a mistake. A Swiss banker got arrested in Florida and started talking. He gave up the names. He gave up Jordan. In 1998, the FBI knocked on the door. Now, this is the part where the wolf is supposed to be tough, right? Omerta, silence, loyalty. Nope. Facing 30 years in prison, Jordan Belfort did exactly what he did in business. He looked for the best deal for himself. He agreed to wear a wire. He walked into meetings with his best friends, his partners, the people who helped him build the empire, and he recorded them confessing. He ratted on everyone. For ruining thousands of lives and stealing over $200 million, Jordan was sentenced to 4 years. But he didn't even serve that. He served 22 months. And this wasn't Shawshank Redemption. He went to a minimum security camp where he played tennis and met a cellmate named Tommy Chong. Yes, the stoner from Cheech and Chong.
Tommy listened to Jordan's wild stories and said, "Man, you gotta write a book." So Jordan didn't find God in prison. He found his next product. He got out in 2006. He published The Wolf of Wall Street. Then Martin Scorsese called. Then Leonardo DiCaprio signed on. Suddenly, the man who stole your grandma's retirement fund was walking red carpets. Here is the dark reality of the ending. As part of his sentence, Jordan was ordered to pay back $110 million to the 1,500 people he scammed. You know how much he has paid back? According to government filings, only a fraction of that has been returned. Meanwhile, Jordan lives in a massive house, flies private, and hosts a podcast. The story of The Wolf of Wall Street isn't a tragedy about a criminal getting caught. It's a comedy about how crime does pay if you're charismatic enough. He scammed America. He went to jail for less time than some people get for selling weed. And then he sold us the story of his crimes, and we made him rich again. The real lesson here isn't about stocks, it's about psychology. Jordan Belfort proved that people don't buy logic, they buy emotion, they buy the dream. So next time you see a guru online promising you 1,000% returns or a secret system to get rich quick, just remember the wolf. If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably because someone like Jordan is on the other end of the line. Jordan Belfort stole $200 million and served less time than a petty thief. So I have to ask you, is he a brilliant businessman who just played the game too well? Or is he a predator who should still be behind bars? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your side. And if you want to stay one step ahead of the next big scam, hit that subscribe button. This is the Fiscal Axiom. Stay sharp and don't let the wolves catch you sleeping.